My name is Paul Kimera, co-founder of Technology for Tomorrow. And Technology for Tomorrow, I would say, as an entrepreneur, I'm an accidental entrepreneur because the story begins with my father. My father was an innovator who developed a number of technologies. And the reason why he developed many of these technologies is he comes from a background where he was orphaned by the age of 9. And so he saw a lot of lack growing up. Then he was fortunate enough to become an electrical engineer and used a lot of his engineering knowledge to come up with solutions for basic needs. So things like water supply, things like affordable housing. He started Markapads with funding from the Rockefeller Foundation. And the idea was to have something that was affordable, which was like half-price hygiene. It's what we have tried to do over the years to improve on these technologies, to make them better and to serve a wider scope of needs. Markapads, when we think about it, it was really to address the need for the girl child who was losing a few days of school because of not having hygienic products. But then also, in the end, that resulted in girls totally dropping out of school. And studies have been done to show this correlation. So we did try a number of things. We thought we needed to work with something that is locally available. We thought of water hyacinth, we thought of papyrus, we thought of different kinds of grasses. Something that's really accessible and maybe available for free. So then we found papyrus that actually works well. And my father related that he had this experience of having a papyrus mat when he was growing up. And if someone would wet their bed, the papyrus absorption was so good that people would not know that they actually wet their bed at the end of the day. Markapads then got support through UNHCR, which for many years bought sanitary pads which were distributed to refugees. So along the way, we realized that other solutions came up, including reusable pads. So a lot of NGOs and other organizations actually tended to think more of using reusable pads. The goal was to improve the impact of Markapads in terms of creating more jobs, because Maka means home. So a lot of the opportunities we create for women really close to their homes. But Maka has a dual meaning. It also means menstruation administration knowledge education. Along the way, we have had a franchise kind of model where we've had other facilities previously in Soroti and in Wakiso that created jobs for maybe at some point up to about 50 or 60 women. What drives us is one is environmental sustainability. And then the other thing is we really respond to the great need. So we try to not waste. If you look at all our production processes, we really try to keep waste at a minimum. And also trying to create solutions that are affordable, because at the end of the day, we want people at the last mile or at the base of the pyramid to be able to utilize our products. Our dream is that at one point we'll have about 10% of women and girls in Uganda actually using Markapads. That could be about 4 million women, today's numbers. I think the significant challenge I faced was really, I'm a problem solver because my background is engineering. And my dad and other members of the family who are part of this are also very technical people, either engineer, architect. But in managing marker pads and the other products that we have, one of the challenges that we had is that it was very challenging to, one of the things I didn't want to fail. None of us wanted to fail. So we thought, okay, so now Dad left this behind and we need, as part of this legacy, to make sure that it works. And we find that we are very technically gifted, but we didn't really have business skills. Business world does not really just reward solutions because they work. We needed to understand market dynamics, and this is where I reached out to a friend who was also a friend of my father that worked with Enterprise Uganda. He talked to a friend who told me the TBN had a program that was starting soon that should be able to help me. And so I took that on as learning, but really applying it to the business. So related to that is that we had operated in an environment whereby previously NGOs were buying more than 95% of what we produce. And once one of the large buyers stopped buying because of the attraction to reusable pads, then there was a real slump in sales, and we couldn't produce at the capacity that we were producing before, so we had to close down some of the facilities in that country. Then one of the things that really stands out for me was looking at different scenarios, because it happened that we had COVID, and one of the products that we make is the incinerators. So we had a really big boom in the incinerators, and we made a lot of sales. So, but the scenario planning after we had a slump in business helped me to appreciate that business will not always be at the same level. It can go up and it can go down, or it can be somewhere in the middle at different times. So the scenario planning helped us to appreciate that, because we were able to look at these different models. Also, recently, there was a marketing and sales class, which also helped us to recognize that there's a lot more that we could do towards marketing and sales in terms of reaching the numbers that we need to reach. During that training, we recognized that there's a lot in our hands, a lot of social media channels that we already subscribe to, but are not really using to help to market us. And so one of the takeaways from that was to immediately start to engage. In the future, we're trying to, you have seen our process, it's highly mechanical. So we're trying to semi-automate in the future such that we can produce a lot more. We have partners that we're working with. So we are setting up another facility in Wakiso in partnership with the Nabagereka Development Foundation, where we already have the facility set up and it's going to be equipped and ready. People, particularly in rural areas, do not have a lot of opportunities for maybe factory jobs. So by setting up these small hubs where people can actually produce the pads, then we create opportunities for mostly women, because 80% of our staff are women, to make the pads, but also to take on opportunities as resellers of the pads, but also there's management positions as the production manager and all that. So ultimately, we think that within the next 5 years, we could have about 3 to 4 facilities in different regions of the country producing pads. And our goal is that we are able to meet the menstrual hygiene needs of at least at least 10% of the women and girls at a price that they can afford. Many people think that we do too many things, and maybe these too many things could be different companies, which in the end could be a group of companies. But all this came out of the areas that we identified where, as a country, we had great needs. So one of the things that ties into marker pads or the pad making is the incinerators. And then one of the reasons why we did incinerators is that schools had a problem that girls would typically drop their waste pads in the latrines, and these latrines would fill up very fast. And so in filling up very fast, then maybe they have to build new ones or empty them. But emptying them was also problematic with the emptiers, because they were not designed to handle solid waste. So that would actually remain in, and then they would refill again very quickly. So then we built the incinerators. And then we have the water supply tanks, which we do in schools as well. But then those also feed into menstrual hygiene management, because girls need to clean up when they're in school, and making water readily available, also having places where they can clean up, is something that was largely lacking. So there is an interconnectedness in all our products to be able to deliver really access to menstrual hygiene to many women and girls.